one of the things that people don't realize is when they purchase the equipment and you come out and they do the install, right? Like that is a process in itself that is almost like an added benefit, because I don't think there have been some times where it's been a hard time to put the gym together, but even at the hardest time, man, like I don't think I've laughed as hard when we were just trying to bust ass at 11:30 at night, just screwing in like the last weight storage on these 14 racks.
No, you better go into this with a good attitude, or you're gonna jump out a window. Yeah. I mean, I take this kid Tavian with me all the time, and he's like 22 years old, right? And he'll look at me like, because when I start, I don't stop.
No,
like I'm
that's
going.
True.
I'm just going.
That's
You've seen that. I'm like,
yep.
Nope. We're not eating lunch. We're just till this last bolt's in. I'm not stopping. Yeah. And Tavian will look at me. He's like, I don't know how the fuck you're still standing. Like he's like, this kid can barely move.
Yeah.
And I'm just running around him. He's like, but that motivates him to move too. Like he's like, all right, I'm not gonna let this old man beat me.
Yeah, no.
The installs are brutal. And the customers, I always get it too. And they're like, just send it. I'll put it together.
No, you won't.
And they tell me like, hey, how fast can you get out here? I'm like, shit. It's big, heavy stuff, man. But I love it. I wouldn't trade it for the world, man. I love it. Now the travel, when I first started, was a lot more exciting than it is now. You know what I mean? Now I just want to be at home. Like I don't want to go anywhere. But like it's like when I do the installs, it's we never have a bad time. I mean, you know what I mean? Like,
even if it's
shit could go completely wrong, it's still fun. Like you know what I mean?
Like it was like midnight at that school, and you're like, that's only 7 hours home. If we get you'll be home by 7 a.m.
Should we get a hotel or should we just keep going? Gas and go, baby. I look over, this guy's like snoring away. He's doing the head bob, right? Like literally for 7 hours. And I'm like, this kid's no help.
He was just like, all right, just don't fall asleep. I was like, all right, cool, I got you. I'm like, it's 2 a.m. What do you want me to do?
Right.
I'm just like hammering sour Skittles to try to get myself going.
It's mind numbing, but
2 a.m.'s lunchtime though, right? Because that's when you're done putting the shit together.
Now we can eat.
So the 12-hour fast is over. So now it's lunch.
Yeah.
And then you need to get on the road before that lunch starts to catch up with you. You want to sleep.
Get that stomach cramp. But my first install was great, man. Big Ed out there at Brockport University orders like, I think it was 6 collegiate racks. I don't know what the hell I'm doing, right? So like I'm playing like I know what I'm doing, right?
Yeah.
So I show up, I'm like, I can throw this stuff together, no big deal. I bring my dad with me, guys. Like at the time I was like 66 years old, could barely move. And I show up with 2 ratchet sets. 6 collegiate racks, dude. Literally, I think each rack took me like 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Had bloody knuckles. I called Mike Ramsey from Williams on the way back. I'm like, dude, what do I need to buy? He's like, y'all did that with rashes? I'm like, yeah. He's like, damn, you're crazy, man. You got to get some impact guns. I was like, shit. But it was great. I mean, and again, like, I when I started in this business, I didn't know shit. I was a beer salesman. I mean, I sold beer, man. I lifted. I was like the weekend warrior lifter guy. Like I just show up, lift, biceps, bench press, go home. And it was such a learning curve, and I worked with Wendler for like a half a day. And he looked at me, he goes, well, good luck. And he just walked out.
He's done, man.
And he left, and I was just like,
done.
So that's it?
That's it. He's out.
I remember like for 3 months coming home just like in a panic, looking at my wife like, I don't know what I'm doing. You know what I mean? But it's live, learn, pass on, or just figure it the fuck out.
Figure the fuck out. Yeah, that's right. That's the other one.
Yeah. So it was initiation by fire, but man, we've had some good times. I've had some great times, and like I said, these friendships that I've developed,
for sure,
have just lasted. You know what I mean? Now it's a decade, and plus, and it's like I could go anywhere, literally in the country, and call somebody, and I know somebody in that
absolutely,
area, and that's so cool because you live your life in such a fishbowl, right? Like I was born in New Jersey. We moved here when I was 10. In Ohio, and I kind of stayed in the central Ohio, Dayton area pretty much my whole life. And you think that's like your whole world.
Yeah.
And then you realize, holy shit, like
it's a big place.
We're selling gyms to like Czechoslovakia,
Spell
Russia.
That.
Like I can't. I can't point it out on a map. Japan, it's like crazy, right? And it's like, wow, how much reach does this company have? And it all goes back to the the free content that has been given away for 20 plus years. And there's no value you can put to that, right?
Right.
Like Chris, like, I've been reading the site, you know what I mean? Like some of these guys that I talked to, was like, well, I started reading the site when I was like 18. These dudes are almost 50 years old now, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
it's crazy how this time goes by like that.
And it's cool because that network grows naturally because one person gets another job at another school, and it just
keeps going.
It keeps going and going and going. It's like the spider web effect.
And
that kind of increases over time.
It's you meet good people and you meet bad people, you know what I mean? And even people that don't necessarily say they don't buy the big room from me, but they everywhere they go, they're coming back and they're getting all the accessory stuff from me. And, you know, and it drives me nuts. I'm like, man, why don't you just buy the big shit from me? You know what I mean?
Spend all your money.
Yeah, and it's just like, you know, we can do that too, and it, you know, but we're getting there. You know what I mean? And I think it's just been a growth process, and you know, I think our exposure as far as the equipment side of things is growing, and I think people are starting to realize, wow, man, like when you buy from Nate Harvey is going to show up at my gym.
With his tool belt on.
Yeah, with his Johnny tool belt and signing people's SS yoke bar pads. And like, I mean, you know, can you break down conjugate U for me? And, you know, and Chris is going to experience that. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to be like, holy shit, I talked to Chris Bartley. He's going to come out. You know, and the name just sticks with the company, right? So like, I remember when I first started, people would call and I'd be like, thank you for calling Elite FTS. This is Matt. I'm like, Croc? No. Or Wenning? And I'm like, no.
Nope.
Matt who? Good one. Like, oh, who's that? Yeah. You know what I mean? And, you know, it was, you know, and it was brutal because I was never exposed to social media, right? So I remember they posted some stuff like, oh, this is our new sales guy. And people are just ripping me. Who's this asshole?
What's that feel like?
What a pussy. This guy doesn't even lift.
I can't believe you hired Bill Burr.
Yeah, it's like, what is this guy? You know what I mean?
Like, thank you.
Yeah, and I'm like,
that's good.
I'm showing my wife these comments. She's like, God, this is horrible. I'm like, yeah, it's terrible.
Just getting
Who the fuck you go work for?
Yeah, she's like, what the fuck? And I'm like, they live right down the street. She's like, what? I'm like, yeah, they live right down the street. And she's like, I don't know what you're doing. You know what I mean? Like, I mortgaged my whole family's future on jumping to this company. Like, it's like, you know, if this fails, we're screwed. You know what I mean? We're living in a box. So, you know, it's been awesome. I absolutely love what I do. You know, it'd be nice to go on a vacation and not have to work, you know, pretty much the whole time. But I never dread going to work. So to me, it's just like, this works. You know what I mean? And I love it. And again, that goes back to the people and the relationships. And you know, like I said, some people I've been dealing with for 10, 12 years, and it's awesome. And I consider them friends, you know? Even guys from our team, like, I mean, Joey Smith and Joe Jordan, and these guys have been around forever. And it's like, you know, you're kind of like, you know, their whole family. Yeah. You know what I mean? And like, there's a lot of these coaches I deal with, like Crabtree and those guys. Like, I know everybody in their circle, and it's kind of cool.
And we can definitely tell when you're not in the office because I walk in and I don't hear "sup boner."
I've heard it's very quiet in the office when I'm not here.
It is because you're singing half the time.
I'm singing, I'm moving. I can't stand the dead silence. You know what I'm saying? So like every now and then you gotta scream like, what's that? Tension breaker had to be done. You know, because like Dave will just go in his office and headphones on, and you know he don't talk. He ain't saying nothing.
It is funny every time we when we even went to install, they're like, "Oh, what's Dave like?" It's like, "Well, it's quiet."
Well, Chris was like, "Well, I've been sitting here for 2 days, and I don't think he said a word to me." I go, "But he did wave."
He's aware of your presence.
Yeah,
I save it all for the podcast, for the weight room.
Right. You get in these walls, and Dave does change, and I mean that's what I've learned over the years. Like, Dave in the office is different than Dave out here.
Oh, for sure.
And it's two different things, and it's but you know, it's
I tell people I'm an introvert, and they don't fucking believe it.
No,
until you talk to people that know me,
yes.
and like, oh yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah.
It's
you would be perfectly fine not having human contact for like 20 years. You'd be fine.
It was like my first or second week here. I was like, Matt, Dave hasn't spoke to me yet.
Oh, then he likes you.
Yeah, he's like, oh, that's good. That's good. That's really good.
He likes you.
I'm like, I don't think he knows my name.
Wrong.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm like, if I go 2 weeks without Dave talking to me, then everything's all right.
We're on the straight and narrow.
Yeah. If he comes in, I'm like, oh shit, something's wrong.
I should probably work on that. New Year's says I gotta wait till next year. The resolution.
Yeah, don't worry.
New year, new me.
You got
too late now.
Too late.
You got 360 days to worry about that.